And welcome into Bleed Purple Nation. This is episode 11. Again, the podcast for Tarleton fans by Tarleton fans. And boy, we've got a great show for you today as we get you ready for the FCS Quarterfinals. Without a doubt, the biggest game in Tarleton history. It'll be Villanova and Tarleton in the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs this Saturday at 11. And we've got a couple great guests for you this week. Before we introduce our guests, though, want to just let everyone know that the game's an 11 o'clock kickoff. We'll talk about it. Ryan and I'll talk about it a lot coming up. But there's a number of promotions. It's $1 beer day at Memorial Stadium, $1 hot dogs. They'll have 20,000 free rally towels to give out. 4 $500 scholarships if you're a student listening. And then tickets start at just $12. So a ton of reasons to get out and watch two great football teams battle it out on Saturday at Memorial Stadium. If you can't come out, the game will be carried on ESPN. And later in the show, we'll have the voice of Tarleton football, Byron Anderson, on. But right now, very honored to have on the longtime voice of the Villanova Wildcats. He's called 2 men's basketball Division I national championships. He's been on the crew that called the 2009 FCS Football National Championship for Villanova. So want to welcome to the show Ryan Fannon. Ryan, thanks for your time. So good to see you. How's everything up in the Northeast?
Oh, it's great. I really appreciate you having me on. Excited to talk about this tremendous matchup coming up this weekend, and can't wait to dive into it.
Yes. Before we do that, though, got to talk to you a little bit about your background. And I know we were just talking, and you cover men's basketball for Villanova, one of the prestigious, programs in, Division I men's basketball history. Last night you were at Michigan, and you've been doing this now for 33 years. How did you first get involved, man, with radio at Villanova?
I'll give you the background. My dad played football at UVA in the 50s. So I grew up in Northern Virginia. And we used to go to Charlottesville, Virginia during the great Ralph Sampson era in the early 80s. And I saw all the great games with Perkins and Jordan and Ralph Sampson. And we used to drive out of Charlottesville, and I'd listen to the post game, and I'd be like, this is fascinating, Dad. They're breaking down the game we were just at, giving all the stats. Like, this is amazing. And literally, since I was like 8, 10 years old, wanted to be a sports broadcaster. And I got the love of sports from my dad. And my mom was a professional actress. So she was in movies and TV. And I'd go home and turn on the TV. She was on commercials. So I got the ham from my mom and the love of sports from my dad. And I went to Villanova and I did student radio. And I asked the coaches for a letter of recommendation. Next thing you know, our head coach, Andy Talley, says, Ryan, our color analyst for the professional network is leaving to take a high school coaching job. Why don't you put your name in the hat? It's probably a long shot. You're awful young, but I like your enthusiasm with the student radio. Month after I graduated from Villanova in 1993, I got offered the job. I got one lucky break, and that led to now this being my 33rd year calling Villanova football on the professional network. And eventually it led to my pre and post game work with the basketball network and getting the play-by-play job for Villanova basketball in 1998. And now this is my 28th season. So I still think of myself as just the student radio guy that gets to come back every year and do it again and sort of live out my dream. It's been an incredible blessing, and I feel really lucky to do it at my alma mater.
Yeah, well, what an awesome story. And sometimes you've got to be in the right place at the right time. And then doing this now for 33 years, that's so cool. And one thing I appreciate just talking with you over the phone and now, in this short time so far, is you seem like really, for a guy that's called 2 national championships in men's basketball, you're pretty humble. And so just you willing to be on the podcast and talk with us today just means so much. And, along those lines, we're going to talk a little bit more, obviously a lot about Villanova football, but between all the moments, man, you've been behind the mic for 2 national championships, Jalen Brunson, so many great players and come through Villanova, and then the football run throughout the years. Do you have a favorite moment or memory behind the microphone?
Yeah, and it happened in the great state of Texas.
All right.
Marcus Page in 2016 playing the Tar Heels, got a 10-point lead coming down the stretch. Tar Heels make the run. Marcus Page hits the circus off-balance shot to tie the game, 74-74 with 4.7 seconds to go in Houston. And Villanova calls timeout. And I was thinking to myself, Oh, thank goodness, because I don't know if the team needs a timeout, but the play-by-play guy sure needs a 20. And
Yeah.
and I remember a friend of mine that was the longtime voice of Connecticut, Jody Ambrosio. He used to give me some great advice over the years. And he says, Ryan, always remember in those moments where people want to know where's the ball, what's the score, give them the play by play and do it clearly so that they know what is happening because they don't really care what your emotions are. They like that, but they want to know what's happening. So the last thing I remember, Villanova came out of the huddle, and I remember just saying to myself, stay with the call, stay with the call, stay with the call. And the last 4.7 seconds, little did I know I was going to call the second time in the history of college basketball that a game is ended on a buzzer beater, 83 in Albuquerque, NC State and Houston with the famous Jimmy V and Chris Jenkins hitting the three at the buzzer in Houston to beat the Tar Heels. So that was a moment of a lifetime. I say to people, I could live 200 more years and there's no way I could ever, ever, ever relive that moment. That was it. That was as good as it gets. We had lost a lot of years to Carolina on heartbreakers in the tournament. And I was on a radio show the day of the game and somebody asked me that I was being interviewed on a couple of different stations. If you could play anybody in the country today, who would you play? And I said, it's actually the team we're playing because great program, the Tar Heels. We had lost
Sure.
heartbreakers to them. That win so bad. And then to beat them at the buzzer. And when I sign off my broadcast for 20 plus years now, I always end it with Cats win, Cats win, Cats win. Good night, everybody. And we went to the Final Four in 2009 in Detroit. And one of the writers from the Philadelphia Daily News said, you got any kind of wrinkle? What are you going to throw in if you're playing on Championship Monday and Villanova wins the national championship? And we lost to Carolina. There you go, Carolina in the Final Four. So I sat on it for 9 years for 7 years from 09 to 16. And then at the end, after Jenkins hit it, instead of Cats win 3 times, I said, Cats win it all, Cats win it all,
Wow.
Cats win it all. So it was like
3 seconds to go across the timeline. 2 seconds to go. Jenkins, 3, right wing to win it. Three for the right wing. That's the other. Jets win it all. Jets win it all. Jets win it all.
I had a little
Man.
bit of it rehearsed, but you can't rehearse what the play is going to
That's
be,
right.
and then it's a buzzer beater. So that's the moment. And then when Villanova won their second national championship against Michigan in 18, back in Texas, I remember I said, Cats win it all, Cats win it all, Cats win it all again in the great state of Texas was part of my
Wow.
call. And then in 2009, we won the national championship, our only one in football, 1AA, now FCS, of course. And we beat Montana in a classic game, 23-21. They were undefeated coming in. We had one loss. It was just an epic game. And it's so ironic because this year, as we're going on this run, I'm like, it's back in Tennessee. It's back in Tennessee, the title. Maybe this is the kind of karma like we had for basketball when we won one in 16 and went back and won another one in Texas in 18. So those are a couple things that come to mind because
Wow.
those are the 3 national championships. And that always goes to the top when people ask me about the greatest experiences I've had calling Villanova football and basketball. Just been so lucky to be behind the mic for these moments.
Yeah, that's awesome, and just get goosebumps hearing about it. And two of those 3 moments were in Texas. I guess the third one, that 09 football national championship, a few years later, that got moved to Texas. So almost,
Exactly.
3 in
It
a
was
row.
we had the old line. We shut down Chattanooga. We were the last
Was
year.
that it?
09 because it went to Frisco in 2010.
Okay, wow. So you almost had all 3, and I know Tarleton fans watching are, well, we hope Villanova doesn't have another moment like that in Texas, but heck, man, should be a great game between Tarleton and Villanova, and let's talk about it. Villanova 11-2, you guys come in as the number 12 seed. Just walk us through what this season has looked like and up until this point, because it didn't start so great, did it?
We started the season, first week we got a win against Colgate, and this is our final year in the CAA, moving to the Patriot League next year with Lehigh and others, ironically, who we just played in the playoffs after their incredible season, being the 5 seed, and a team that I know you guys were tracking very closely as well, because the chance you guys could have played them instead of us.
Sure.
This weekend down in Stephenville. Started off, we got a 7-point win over Colgate in a non-conference game, and then tough loss at Penn State and Monmouth back-to-back, gave up over 50 points in both of those games, and we left the Jersey Shore because Monmouth is literally like, the stadium's like a mile from the Jersey Shore. And
Yeah.
I remember leaving there, and I just felt like, we're 1-2, and we've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of great coaches, and we're better than this. And I think we're going to play better. And I think the next week we played William and Mary. And it's always interesting when you look back at like that moment where, when did it turn? And it was our 4th game. We had the 1-2 record. We're playing our longtime rival, William and Mary, who's also going to the Patriot League next year with us and leaving the CAA. And by the way, the CAA has been an amazing league for us. It's been an incredible run in the league. They have a tremendous leadership team there. I'm going to miss the CAA, but we're really excited about the opportunity and the like-minded schools and so much about the Patriot League. But it was the second half kickoff, and we were trailing at halftime, and Jabril Mace took the kickoff to start the third quarter to the house. And it set the tone for the second half, and we got that win. And then we went to New Hampshire the next week and beat a playoff team by 30 on the road.
Yep.
And I was like, here we go. We're building something. Then we got into a tight one down at Elon, survived, came back. Then we got home for a couple and took care of business against Hampton and Albany, had a bye and got to the month of November. And now we're starting to put it together. We're feeling it. Offense, defense, special teams really clicking on all levels. And we're in a dogfight with Towson, but then we pulled away on the greatest single rushing performance in Villanova history. Brian Westbrook had rushed for 287 yards in a single game, and Jabril Mace, because of an injury in that game to David Abbott, who was our leading rusher at the time, Jabril Mace, who's just a speedster. I mean, he's got incredible. We have some fun, like get it to Mace in space, and you can't keep pace with Mace.
That's a good one. Yeah.
There's some fun things, but he rushed for 291 yards. We got the win, and then we went home. And every year when you're on these winning streaks, you have a game you have to survive.
Yes.
And Stony Brook came in, and they were 500, and they had an excellent runner in Dempster, and they just played an amazing game. And we had to gut out that overtime win, but we found a way to get the win. And then you sort of get that feeling when you survive a game that you can lose, and it almost invigorates you even more. And now we go into the regular season finale, and it's always been Delaware, our biggest rival. But since they moved to FBS, now we have a non-conference game we're playing against Sacred Heart, and we win that 34-10, and our offense, defense were really clicking. And then on Selection Sunday, I anticipated, I'm fascinated by the brackets and the seeding. I was following it religiously for 6 weeks, tracking every game. I just love it. And I was convinced that we were going to be in that, like, I thought we were going to be 13. I thought we deserved better than that. But the year before, when Richmond didn't get a top 8 seed, when they went undefeated in the CAA at 8-0, I just felt like we weren't going to get a top 8, and I thought Rhode Island had the best chance to get it. And then when Rhode Island got the 9 seed and we got the 12 seed, I liked our draw because I thought we matched up well with Harvard, who's had a great year, but I just felt like physically and athletically, it was a good matchup for us. And we played lights out and, of course, won 52-7. And then we got to Lehigh, and I also like the matchup. A lot of this stuff is familiarity sometimes, and you just have confidence. And we had beaten Lehigh 11 straight times.
I saw that.
We had played them at a ton of non-conference games, and we're down 7-0, and they got the ball in our territory, and we've got no turnovers, and they've got no turnovers, and they put the ball on the ground, and I just felt it. I was calling the game with Steve Fannon, our color analyst, and I just was like, they shouldn't have done that. They opened the door for us, and we're a veteran team, and we took that, and we went right down, and we hadn't scored the whole day. It was 0-0 at halftime, and we took that turnover. We went down at 7-7, and when we tied it, I was like, I had a great feeling we were going to win the game because I felt like that was the turning moment. And then, of course, we end up taking the lead with just under 3 minutes to go. They go down, and they fumble it, and we get another turnover. And you guys know about turnovers. Wow. You're the best in the country at forcing turnovers, which is fascinating because the best stat all year for our team is we have 5 turnovers total in 13 games. And you guys get turnovers about every other possession, it seems like. It's incredible. So something has to give in the state of Texas on Saturday between you guys that force it like nobody's business and us that protect it.
Yes.
I still can't believe we've had 5 turnovers only in 13 games. That's an absurd stat.
Unbelievable. And then Tarleton being plus 30.
That's a little bit of how we got to here.
Wow. Yeah, that's what a season. And, man, you're stealing all my material because I had a question to you about that turnover. But, no, that is a mind-boggling stat that Villanova is committed 5 turnovers. Tarleton is plus 30. And I don't know. You've been doing this a long time. If you've seen a lot of crazy stats, but that is got to be at the top of the list. That's wild, isn't it?
Both ways. Your turnover
both
margin,
ways, yeah.
I can't remember ever seeing that. And 5 turnovers in 13 games, nobody does that.
Yes, and plus 30, for Tarleton. That's going to be certainly something to watch out for. Turnovers are always, as you know, a huge stat line, but, man, something's got to give there. And, I was going to ask you about Villanova football because when people, right or wrong, when they think of Villanova a lot, they think of men's basketball, right? But this football program has been, I was looking it up, 16 trips to the FCS tournament. Y'all been in this round 3 out of the last 5 years. Does the football program often get overlooked by men's basketball, or does the football program have a pretty good following locally as well?
Yeah, this is of all the years we've been in the playoffs, and it was 16 going into this year, and now we're up to 17, including this year. And Mark Ferrante is a longtime assistant under our legendary coach, Andy Talley, who's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's been there for all of these playoff experiences. And, this Saturday, we've played, alone. I've been so fortunate. Like, I started calling the games in 93. This will be my 30th playoff game I've called. And wow. It's one of those things where you talk about, the Villanova history, when we dropped football, and in the early 80s, there was no football at Villanova, and we had played at, the 1A level, now the FBS level until up to 1980, and then we dropped it, and we brought it back at the 1AA level, and when we did, Andy Talley got to Villanova in 84. We played an abbreviated schedule of 5 games, 1985. 4 years later, we were in the playoffs in 1989. And then we've obviously won a national championship that I talked about early in 2009. And we've had a really good run. And I've been studying Tarleton State this week, and it's just amazing to see what you all have accomplished in just your second year of being eligible for the FCS playoffs. Having played in a couple playoff games last year and now this year. What an impressive win against North Dakota, and you're at home. And then, I just got to tell you the story because I think you're going to laugh. I had to pull over last weekend driving out of Bethlehem because I didn't want to drive and watch my phone of what was happening at the Fargo Dome.
That's
maybe
crazy.
The greatest upset in the history of FCS. And, I left the radio booth and it was 28-14. And then I got on the road and I saw 28-21, and then I'm getting text messages and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm driving. And I was driving because I had to go to broadcast a Villanova basketball game the same day that evening against Penn down in South Philly at Xfinity Mobile Arena where the Sixers and the Flyers play. and I had to literally pull over. I got the final score. You know, as a Tarleton State guy, as a Villanova guy, you're kidding me, right? The number one team, 12-0, the Fargo Dome. This does not happen. And when they
No.
went down, I know that Tarleton State and Villanova and the other 6 teams that woke up on Sunday morning, and it took till Sunday morning for the Rhode Island UC Davis game to end, we all woke up and
That's
said,
right. Yeah.
my goodness, this thing is wide open.
Wide open.
Goliath has been slain. I mean, this is crazy. I cannot believe North Dakota State lost at home and gave up 15 points in the final less than 2 minutes. It's just an incredible story. I mean, everybody that's left in this field, they have massive aspirations from here on out. This upset changed everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it was shocking. And if I would have told you that Illinois State turned it over 5 times but still won in the Fargo Dome, you probably would have said you're crazy.
5
Casey.
interceptions.
So goes to show you anything can happen in the playoffs. And I mean, you look at this game, Ryan. I mean, Tarleton's a heavy favorite, but I mean, you guys were a big underdog last week against Lehigh. And even looking, I saw one game, Mercer was favored in Vegas over South Dakota. We knew how that one went. Do your guys kind of embrace the underdog role a little bit?
You know, what I like about our team is they're just businesslike. We got a lot of senior leadership. We got a lot of playoff experience. We've only gone to 3 straight playoffs twice in the history of our program, 08, 09, and 2010. And in that 3-year stretch, we won the national championship in 09 and went to the national semifinals in 2010. This is a group that's played in a ton of playoff games, and they don't care what people say. They just have a lot of confidence in themselves, and they have so much fun together. I love these kind of years because you can just see it. Like, I've been doing this for Villanova for 33 years. Like, you just know when teams have it. This team has it. There's no, like, the egos are just, they're not there. Everybody's backing each other. Everybody picks each other up. We get through adversity in games and we just find a way to win. I love this team. This team has really grown on me and the whole Nova Nation. And just like I know your team, I mean, you guys have had an incredible season, and just sort of that win against Army, like the whole country that follows FCS football stood up. Talk about the day after you beat Army. We played there in West Point. They beat us really good. That was an incredible victory. And I think it instantly just showed Tarleton State has got a lot that they're giving this year to their potential when you saw that early on in the season. And, this is just a fascinating matchup for me because, again, you guys, you went Division I in 2020, and now here you are. And with North Dakota State gone, this is just wide open for the remaining 8 teams. This is going to be an incredible game. Our defense has played exceptionally well the last 3 weeks, giving up, just 10 against Sacred Heart, 7 against Harvard, and 7 against Lehigh. Our offense, wasn't clicking on all cylinders last week, but we got a veteran offensive line. I think one of the strengths of our offense is our offensive line. And our quarterback does an incredible job. You'll see this. And again, it's going to work out one way or the other just because the turnovers you all force week in and week out. If there's something out there, he just gets rid of the ball. He has no ego. He doesn't have to throw it and force ball. He's like, I'm going to play winning football. And Pat McQuaid's been incredible for us. At Nichols, transferred in. We don't have a lot of transfers, but a couple that we got this year that have made a massive impact on us is our quarterback and his number one target, Luke Colella from Princeton. Those guys have just been an incredible connection. And, we have a lot of depth at running back. This is a team right now in Villanova that has great respect for who we're going to play. I think, when you play FCS and you play a team that beat an FBS, going back to the Army thing, I mean, that's just massive instant credibility. So our guys are humble and they're hungry. And we're ready to see how far we can go, just like you guys are. I think this is going to be an incredible football game.
Absolutely. And wanted to ask you about some of the impact players. Obviously, we don't have time to talk about every Villanova. There's a ton of, you talked about those two guys on the offensive line I saw were first team all conference. You talked to Pat McQuaid and how good he's been, but wanted to ask you about, you talked earlier about Jabril Mason. And I think for Tarleton fans, this is someone that you really got to watch out for because, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, he leads the nation in kick return, yards per kick return, and kick return touchdowns. You already talked about one of them that he has. He is so dangerous. And are you seeing teams just squib kick it? I mean, obviously, you're going to try to keep it out of his hands as much as possible, right?
That's what Lehigh did last week. They would not kick to him, but their kickoff coverage had struggled all year. So they had two issues, and that they didn't want to kick it to a guy who had brought a couple to the house and another one or two where, he could have gone to the house as well for a third one. He's just a dynamic player, and he's small, but he's also a very quiet kid, but he's electrifying speed. I mean, and that's the thing about your team that's so impressive for me is you guys got some speed in certain positions that, are going to be a difficult matchup for us. But we've got some speed, and we've got some serious speed in Jabril Mace.
Yeah, he's looks to be a heck of a player and certainly will be fun to watch. Hopefully not too fun if you're wearing purple and white, but for Villanova fans, what a weapon. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you talked about how good Villanova's been playing on the season. I saw the number 18 ranked defense in the nation, and it seems to be led by Shane Hartzell. The linebacker seems to kind of be the anchor of that unit. Tell us a little bit about number 31.
Yeah, he's just been like a rock for us. Every game, emotional, gets the guys ready to go. He's so fundamentally solid as a tackler. We play a 3-3-5 defense. So we got the 3 down linemen, the 3 linebackers, and then play 5 on the back end. And he's a guy that really, this unit, I mean, we've had a lot of guys step up, and we got some decent depth there too. I mean, Richie Kimmel is a veteran that's played really well at the linebacker position, a young player in Omari Bursey. Jason Hall's been tremendous on special teams and backing up at linebacker, and Hartzell's been the guy there. Hartzell is a guy that's seen it all, right? Third straight year in the playoffs, and he makes sure nobody gets too high or too low, just stay the course. And, when we went into the locker room, 0-0 against Lehigh, everybody was very calm, business-like. I think our maturity really shows with this group.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, what a season it's been for Villanova, winning 10 straight at this point, and then, of course, Tarleton coming to this one at 12-1. And there's definitely not going to be any shortage of, I call them nuggets for you to use as a broadcaster in this one. You talked about the turnover battles, the number 1 scoring offense in the nation versus the number 18 total defense in Villanova. And then another one, you talked about Pat McQuaid. If I got this right, man, he's thrown 3, or at least the team has had 3 interceptions thrown all year, which leads the nation by far. And then Tarleton has a cornerback, Cassius Kearns, who leads the nation in interceptions. That's going to be another fun matchup to watch, right?
It really is. And, you go back to just the kind of year that McQuaid's had. I mean, he personally is only thrown 2 interceptions. So he has 23 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And like I said, I mean,
wow.
His completion percentage is not crazy high. It's 61%, but because he'll throw the ball away and just go to the next play, it's such an underrated thing in the NFL and college football because guys' egos get in the way and they think they can force a ball. Next thing they know, it's a pick 6 and it's changed the whole game. And he won't do it. And it's made us so steady and so consistent and so hard to beat because we don't beat ourselves.
Yeah, we, most of us around here, Stephenville, as you know, is an hour and 45 minutes from Dallas. So we're a lot of Cowboys fans here in Villanova. I know a lot of Eagles fans. And speaking of interceptions, we were pretty happy about that Jalen Hurts interception and I don't know that one was totally his fault, but when you talk about interceptions, like you said with McQuaid, sometimes it's good just to throw it away. And we're very glad, Ryan, that Hurts did not throw it away the other night.
Well,
by the way,
you'll be interested to know I'm a diehard Redskins / now Commanders fan because I'm from DC. I love Villanova, but I'm a DC
But
sports fan.
you're
So I've loved you guys are coming in on Christmas Day. That's going to be unbelievable. It's been a real rough year for my Commanders, but boy, last year was a lot of fun going to the NFC Championship until we got there and had to play the Eagles.
yeah, a place on. Yeah, well, and true, but a place we haven't been, the NFC Championship, since 1996, and boy, that's a fun rivalry as well. The Redskins and the Cowboys. I hope
Incredible
you move
rivalry.
the stadium back into DC. I guess that's because I used to go to FedEx Field. I mean, it's just so far out there, and having the stadium right there in DC would be is a game changer, right?
Yeah, the greatest game ever played in the history of RFK Stadium was the NFC Championship, Dallas and Washington back in the early 80s when Washington had the old defensive tackle, Darrell Grant, that had the tip ball and he scored. And then that year, Washington won the Super Bowl against the Dolphins on that old famous 70 chip run by John Riggins.
Yeah.
Just amazing games. I still haven't gotten to Jerry's Big House. My son and my brother got to go down there this year and watch the Commanders get waxed pretty good by the Cowboys in that one. But that'll be a fascinating game because the Cowboys need it so bad and the Eagles need it so bad. And the only thing left the Commanders can do is be spoilers right now. But we digressed.
Yeah.
Back to
I know we did, but
it's fun. It's
but
fun.
just one side note on that. We need the Commanders to beat the Eagles one of two times if you can. I don't know if you got a little influence on that.
Yep. You need some help.
Yeah, need some help, but a long way to go. Speaking of Jerry World, you might drive by there after the plane lands. I'm guessing y'all are flying in Friday. Tell us a little bit about Villanova's travel plans.
Yeah, we're heading down Friday. I haven't gotten the exact hotel yet of where we're staying, but we'll fly down on Friday and then come back right after the game on Saturday. And it's so interesting because I love tracking all the other games, and I saw that the Illinois State and UC Davis game is at 5 o'clock Eastern time and kicks off 5 hours after our game. So one of us, Tarleton State or Villanova, is going to be watching with great anticipation for the game will be well over for a couple hours. And then that next game will be kicking off, and one of us will be watching with great interest on Illinois State, the unseeded team going all the way to Davis, California to take on the 8-seed UC Davis. And like we said, has become a wide open bracket. Who wants it? Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. And Illinois State, part of you thinks with the momentum they've had, upsetting Southeastern Louisiana and then North Dakota State, they could make the ultimate run. But you also think, well, they run out of gas because, as you know, sometimes when, you have an upset
it's hard.
like that,
The last time we got to the national semifinals, quick story, 2010, we had to go to Stephen F. Austin and come to the state of Texas, and we won. Then we had to go to Boone, North Carolina when Appalachian State was still playing FCS football, and we won there. And then we had to fly over 2,500 miles to Cheney, Washington, and play Eastern Washington on the red carpet. 3 weeks, 3 road games, and we got worn down physically, and I think just all those road trips by that national semifinal. And the difference is if Illinois State wins again, it's not going to be the third. It's going to be their 4th straight road game. And they're going to have to go through, as we know, Louisiana, North Dakota, California, and then either Texas or Philadelphia area, Villanova, Pennsylvania. So maybe they'll keep winning, but that team that gets to, if they can win at UC Davis, I'm telling you what, that's a lot on college kids around exam time to go on the road 4 straight weeks in the states I just mentioned. So you know why I pulled over and pumped some fists last week. I was pretty excited about North Dakota State going down.
I'm with you. We were leaving the stadium, and it was, I had written off that game. It's 28-14 with 4 or 5 minutes left in the Fargo Dome. There's, no chance. And when I saw that on the ESPN app, Ryan, I really thought it was a programming error or something. There's no way that, but just goes to show you, man.
I had to look it over and over again on my phone. Yeah. I felt the same way. I was like, and you
what?
know what I thought was going to happen is after they got the 2-point conversion, Illinois State, and went up 1, I was like, what's going to happen? North Dakota State's going to go down.
Yes.
They're going to kick a field goal with no time left, and they're going to win by 2. And then it didn't happen.
Yeah. And
But
they were without their starting quarterback that last,
yeah,
drive I saw.
right. I saw that towards the end of the game. But yeah,
It's
this
just
is I love these games. I love going into new places because you learn so much, right? And just from my preparation this week, and I know our coaching staff and our players, they're just a really respectful, great group of kids, and they're going to come in and you're going to see a really college program that handles themselves with class, and we're going to lay it all out there. And we are really impressed with Tarleton State. And we know it's going to take a tremendous effort. But like your team, we have a lot of great belief in our team this year. And something's going to have to give Saturday with all those things we broke down earlier. It's a fascinating matchup to me.
It is.
Because our
And
defense
the
is
fact
just playing. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the fact there's no common opponents. I mean, the teams have never played each
Right.
other, and there's no common opponents. Like I heard Coach Ferrante say earlier in the week, like there's a lot that we don't know, and we don't even have a common opponent.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. It's a lot of unknowns, but there's two quarterbacks that I mean, wow.
Pretty
I
good.
mean,
Both of
Wallace has been so impressive, and I'm going to watch a lot more film tonight and tomorrow. And I love watching the games. I want to go back and watch your Austin P game and see how they put up 44 against you, and then some games when your defense has just been lights out. So I still trying to get that feel, about your defense. I know your offense speaks for itself, but your defense, the at least just tracking the scores, I saw you guys gave up 31 in your loss to Abilene Christian, is that right?
Yep.
And then
Yes, that's
44
correct.
in your win. But again, when you look at the full body of work, you guys have had a really good defensive season. Your stats are strong, and your offense, is your offense. They're just terrific. But
Yeah,
I think your defense is impressive too.
we have tended to struggle against running quarterbacks this season. So and Austin Peay's got one of the best in the nation. So that I think
still
is
can't believe he missed that
piece of it.
2-point conversion.
Oh, that guy was, I mean, I literally put my head down, man. I was like,
That
this
was an
is
early
over.
Christmas gift.
Oh, it was
Or Thanksgiving, I should say.
And that game was, Austin Peay was playing for their absolute lives. They win that game, they're in the playoffs. I mean, and they're
My
good.
goodness.
They're a good
That
team.
2-point conversion was like literally in or out.
Yeah. I think the big thing with Tarleton is you've got to not get down, because if you get down, they just tee off on you. And you kind of saw that against North Dakota. And so I think that's probably, that's definitely something to look out for. But we have allowed, some teams to rush for, I think, 4 or 5 times, 200 plus yards this season. Although North Dakota came in as the 6th best rushing offense in the country, and minus 2 big runs, they only had probably like 30 or 40 rushing yards. So
that's what I'm saying. Your defense, some weeks you guys are just lights out defensively.
It'll be interesting. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. And I think for Tarleton is, just to be honest, I think there's some fans that think this is going to be an easy win, but I can promise you with Todd Whitten and that coaching staff and the student athletes that they are not overlooking Villanova, and it should be a heck of a game. And who knows, like I said, Vegas has this as Tarleton a 10.5-point favorite, but they had Mercer as a favorite last week, and they lost like 52-0 against South Dakota. So,
47-0, maybe
40,
I forget.
It's going to be a lot of fun, Ryan. And man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time and your insight and hearing about the tradition of Villanova football. And it's been a lot of fun. And man, we look forward to hosting the Villanova fans at Memorial Stadium on Saturday. And hey, it's dollar beer for them as well. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I encourage everyone to drink responsibly on Saturday. Should be a great atmosphere, man.
You having me on. It's
thanks for being here.
One of the great parts of playoff time is meeting great people. At the end of the day, this is all about all of our passion for football and meeting great people and traveling around the country and having these experiences. It's what life's all about. And we're thrilled to get down there and play a team that beat Army and has had an incredible year. And this is why you just get so excited. I said to my son last week, who's a junior in high school and he's interested in broadcast, and I said, when I left to go to the Lehigh game, I said, I just want to put together one more broadcast board. Just don't let it end. These runs are so fun. You just don't want to go home. It's agonizing.
Yeah, it sure is a lot of fun, and wish you and the team, Ryan, the best of luck. I'd like to, I always say when you're playing someone, you say good luck, you're kind of lying, but we want to wish you safe travels, congratulate you on a great season. It's been a great season, and hope to meet you on Saturday.
Absolutely. Thanks what you do for FCS. These kind of shows are just tremendous to give publicity to this incredible level of college football. So I appreciate the work you do, Casey, and can't wait to meet you in person. And thank you for asking me to come on. It was my pleasure. I appreciate it, Casey.
Yeah, you bet. Safe travels. And everyone, that is Ryan Fannon, the voice of the Villanova Wildcats here on Bleed Purple Nation. We'll take a break, and up next we'll have the voice of Tarleton football, Byron Anderson, when Bleed Purple Nation continues right after this. In Villanova, which without a doubt will be the biggest game in not just Tarleton football history, but Tarleton athletic history, a huge one this Saturday. And want to thank the voice of the Villanova Wildcats, Ryan Fannon, who just joined us for part one. And now we have, we're calling it the Battle of the Voices, even though it's a friendly battle, but we have the voice of the Tarleton Texans, Byron Anderson. And Byron, what a time right now for you to be a part of this program and this athletic department. And how fun has this been, man, after that big win over North Dakota?
Oh yeah, well the win over North Dakota, then the results we got afterwards from Illinois State getting the upset win. Those two things together, you know this, after the games, when they have playoff games for football, they do it a little bit different than the regular season. Normally we get Coach Witten right on, but you have a press conference afterwards, and they won't let anybody talk to the coaches until they do that press conference. So I go to the press conference, where we put it is down in the field house, in one of the video rooms in the field house. That's really nice. We went down there, and I went through a part of the room that was the locker room in the field house. And as I was walking through, I had no idea what the score was for that game. I had seen that, the Bison were up, and I walked through and I could see into the locker room, and everybody went crazy. And I was like, what just happened? Something just happened. And I walked in there, and the guys are like, North Dakota State just lost. We got home field all the way through. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So I'm on my phone looking, and we're just, it's just going. And this, having done the games for basketball, when you're following that stuff in the same, kind of ilk, it's so much fun because, you're just constantly talking about, okay, well, what if we do this? What happens now? And you're just breaking down everything. And this one's really simple. Basically now it's keep winning, and you have home field advantage all the way to Nashville and the national championship, which, yeah, you're right. How could it be more excited? I think the Texans will be favored in every game up until the national championship, and just can't wait to see Final Eight, Elite Eight. It's really exciting, really fun, not just for me, but for Tarleton fans.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. And, man, I was up watching the game in the stadium, and I kind of gave up on Illinois State because they were down, I think, with 3 or 4 minutes left by 14, and thinking this is over, man. And same deal as you. I'm walking out the side of the stadium, and I start hearing all these people in the parking lot cheering, and of course we're all excited, huge win, but I knew this was more than just what just had happened in the stadium. And I checked my phone, and Illinois State won by 1, and I was just, the first thing I thought was, this is a programming error on the ESPN app, right? I mean, there's no way a 23-point underdog just won in Fargo. I think they were 28-1 all time in playoff games there, and they've been to the national quarterfinals 15 years in a row. And wow, I mean, it was an absolute game changer. What a huge upset. But this is why FBS needs to go to the FCS format, man, because anything can happen. And I had a question for you on that, is how important is it for Coach Witten and the staff, though, to you can't let the players look too much at that, right? I mean, and think ahead. Like, they've got to really focus on the task at hand, which is Villanova. Do you think that's going to be a problem at all? Maybe the players looking ahead and thinking, man, we could get home field all the way to Nashville.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they've been pretty good all season about taking it game per game. The one loss that they have is to ACU. And I think ACU, they barely lost to SFA last week on the road.
It's a good game.
Another close game. And, it's just one of those deals where, yeah, I mean, it could happen anytime. But, man, I think they really took it to another level last week. You hear that all the time in the NFL about how the playoffs, it's just, there's preseason, then regular season, and then playoff level football. And I just felt the way I think the Texans, and it's there on the field, they dominated that game. I had no thought that they'd be that good against the run for North Dakota, who's a team that's run it for over 200 yards per game in that league in the Missouri Valley, which is, it's the Big Sky or Missouri Valley when it comes to the best FCS conferences in the nation. And I think we're finding out that the UAC belongs up there for sure. But as far as what's been established, we beat them by 18 points, and all of their other games that they lost, all 5 of them, were combined, they lost by 17 points. So
to really good
Texans
teams.
Took it to, against North Dakota State, South Dakota, really good teams. Illinois
Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State, they lost 38-35. So I think that the Texans took it to another level. I don't have any worry about that this week, but I mean, those are things that can certainly happen. That's why they play the game. And it's what makes, like you said, what makes tournaments like this great. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday.
Yeah, and it's real easy to say, oh, well, Tarleton, look ahead because North Dakota State on our side of the bracket lost. But the other side of that is we'll give them more focus and more energy because they now know, man, that if we win against Villanova, baby, we're staying home for the national semis. So it's certainly exciting. And after the game, that 31-13 win over a very good North Dakota team, I agree with you, Byron. I thought that sometimes teams can, I'm not saying they weren't focused against Austin Peay. Austin Peay's really good, but sometimes when it's playoff time and you got 40, 50 seniors and it's win or go home, they just turned up the focus and intensity and they played lights out. And after that game, we're all sitting around right wondering, okay, there's 4 national quarterfinal games. When are we going to be slotted? Are we going to be the Friday night? Are we going to be the 11 a.m. or the 3 or the 7:30 on Saturday? And we found out, I guess, later that day that Tarleton would play at 11 a.m. this Saturday against Villanova. It is an early game, but boy, you get to be on ESPN. How big is that for the university and this program to be on ESPN? Because I think it might be the first time ever.
Yeah, it is the first time ever for any Tarleton game to be featured on the ESPN. Now, there was a game, I think, against McNeese 2 years ago where because the other game ran long, we started on ESPN. So that's maybe the only time that's ever happened. But as far as it to be featured, I don't know that you could get a bigger, I mean, it's one thing to be on ESPNU or ESPN2, been both of those places, but there's no coverage that you're going to get like on the main station. I'm excited to see, not just like what happens during the game, but I'm going to be watching the pregame, and I don't know what they'll do with game day or anything like that, right? But there's got to be some lead up. There's got to be halftime. I'm going to go back and see what they do at halftime, and then post game as well. It's not just the game that's really exciting, but like the lead up to it, because ESPN, when they put it on that station, is going to be pushing it like they would any big college football game. So, every time we play one of these games on ESPN on one of their network stations, there's always a bigger hit. We get 90 or 100 or 200,000 views on tarleton.edu and a ton on tarletonsports.com. But it does when, and you were part of this when we made the move to Division I. When we did this originally, it was to increase the footprint of the school. And I don't think there's anybody that could argue that we haven't done that. And that, it's just, to me, it's the most exciting thing from a broadcast standpoint since I've been here.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man, to be on ESPN, and not just to be on ESPN. There's no other games, SFA and Montana State Friday night, they get a great one because they're on ABC, nothing going on. And I think on Saturday at 11 a.m., we're the only thing in the country happening, right, until the Army-Navy game at 2. So that's the benefit. Yeah. If you got in that 3 o'clock game, you're competing against that one, right?
Yeah, now the 3 o'clock game's on ABC, so that's a whole different deal, right? ABC is, now you're talking about getting getting in whoever doesn't have regular cable anymore. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal. And that's something that, probably not going to get this year because they're doing the same thing next week where there'll be a game at 11 and there'll be a game at 3. The 11 o'clock game will be on ESPN and the 3 o'clock game will be on ABC. And that really looks like it's going to be Montana and Montana State, which is a classic FCS game. I don't know, other than North Dakota and North Dakota State, I don't know if there's any other bigger matchups at the FCS level. So we probably don't get that ABC spot, but 2 weeks on ESPN and then a Monday night if you win both in front of the whole nation where you're the only thing on January 5th in Nashville for the national championship. It's just absolutely mind-blowing.
No doubt. And I am looking at the bracket. The semifinals either 4 or 7:30 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's
nice.
a good thing
I
to
can
not
sleep
have.
in.
Yeah, you can sleep in. And then the Nashville game, you can't get that far ahead, is on January 5th at 7:30. But obviously, task at hand, Villanova. Before we talk Villanova, though, there's a lot of reasons to come out to Memorial Stadium, and we need an absolutely huge crowd, hopefully a sellout, or it was a great crowd, 20,000. You had the Tarleton Texans up there in the end zone, which was pretty cool. Great atmosphere against North Dakota, and I think it's safe to say it'll be a better atmosphere, even better this Saturday. And if the game isn't enough of a reason to come out, the biggest game ever for Tarleton to play, there's a lot of promotions going on, right? Some dollar something.
There are. We got so $1 beers, $1 hot dogs. But I'll tell you a quick story about how $1 beers happened last week. So I introed Todd Whitten and the president, Giovanni, and the hired guns played Friday night in Texan Alley to kind of get the playoffs started. Something they put together in like 10 days. Really great job by our student affairs area. But a lot of times I'll introduce bands, and so I did it. So I got out there and I was introducing Todd Whitten. And my job before I introduced Todd and the president is to kind of, if the crowd's not pumped up, get them going. And Todd talked before Giovanni and the hired guns went on. Well, I'm pumping everybody up, or trying to. And all of a sudden they start to chant. And I was like, what are you guys chanting? I can't hear you. Like, what are you? And I had to look down. They're chanting $1 beers.
Oh, gosh.
And it was a huge crowd, right? So we went off the stage and Dr. Hurley, he listens to the student body. He made a couple of calls, had some donors in line, and got $1 beers sponsored and got it all together. By the time I introduced him, he made that announcement. So I think this will carry on, hopefully all the way for 2 more weeks. I can't guarantee it, but it was really kind of if you want to know the background, how that got it started.
That's cool.
He listens to this. He listens to the
there's no
students
doubt.
and to the people.
We've had a lot of good leaders at our university that have done good things in a lot of different areas, but for a long time, guys like you and I were saying we need to do more to promote games. We need the university to get all in, everyone, and sometimes we'd get a little frustrated, and now you're seeing, to their credit, the entire university is going all in on this. Athletics as a whole, but especially this playoff run for Coach Whitten's squad. And they're also, another thing you're talking about, Dr. Hurley listening, is I saw on social media, students said, well, the dorms are now closed. Like, the dorms are going to be closed this weekend because you know the schedule better than I, and if we win and we play this weekend, which would be help me out here, the 13th, and then if we do play on the 20th, what if we don't have a dorm room? What do we do? We have nowhere to stay, and they're going to keep the dorms open for free.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Pretty crazy. No, I saw it. I absolutely,
that's
100%. Really Student Housing put out a message this morning and said, yes, if you would like to stay, because the dorms are closing. I guess graduation is this weekend, right? Graduation's on Friday. Graduation's Friday.
They moved it to Friday, and it's going to be in the event center.
Which is going to be cool, man, for everybody to get to see graduation, that beautiful $130 million event center. So the students have to leave the dorms before graduation, and they're keeping the dorms open for free. So if you're watching and you're a parent or you're a student, you can literally tell housing, I want to stay the whole way, and you can stay for free.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. So that's great. And then we've had some, out of the blue, we've had some companies that have volunteered to buy tickets and give them out for free at their locations to help, kind of like, I don't know, you're a big Cowboys fan. Kroger did this in the late 90s when the Cowboys were just getting good again, when they couldn't sell out the stadium, when the Cowboys had been bad for a long time. Kroger bought tickets so that it wasn't blacked out in the area.
Yeah.
And so that's not necessarily what's happening here, but it is neat that everybody's being a part of it. It's not just one group or the other. It's everybody, and everybody's excited.
No doubt, man. I don't mind saying it. Shout out Triple Crown Ford because I saw they were giving away. I saw you put out a tweet or something yesterday. They were giving out 250 tickets.
And Dustin just called me, just to be honest with you. I'll tell you, Dustin called me and said, hey, man, what can I do to help? I want to buy some tickets or do something. Just out of the blue. Dustin Rogers, the GM there, great guy, very supportive of Tarleton. It just shows that everybody's getting a piece of it and pitching in to do what they can to support this university and this football team.
Everybody is absolutely all in. And at a time where we're being, as consumers, just pinched for every penny and everything's so expensive, you can literally come to an NCAA Division I quarterfinals game in Stephenville for $12. I mean, you can't go to a movie for $12, and you can drink dollar beers if you're 21, and you can have dollar hot dogs. And then quick shout out to the Tarleton Alumni Association. I'll drop a link here, but make sure if you join the Alumni Association, they do great work. They're going to have the yard tailgate open from 9 to 11, Byron. They're going to have, they had it last week because I was out there. They have warm cider, hot coffee. They have adult mixers if you want to put that in your coffee. They had a Bloody Mary bar. Peacocks is there, our good friends at Peacock serving purple pancakes, and they're going to do that again from 9 to 11. And we even had the wives of the coaches from North Dakota come over and hang out with us, and they were really good people. So, man, so much going on. So everybody get out, 11 o'clock kickoff. Go to tarletonsports.com to buy your tickets. Byron, let's switch over to Villanova. What have you seen from the Wildcats, the number 12 seed? They're 11-2. They've won 10 straight. What have you seen from them on tape and film, and how do you think they'll match up against the Texans?
I really think the Texans match up pretty well with Villanova. I think that whole group, and I hope I'm not offending anybody. I certainly don't mean to, but this is what I see when I watch those games. I go back and watch on ESPN Plus. I'll go back.
You've already offended me. You've already offended me, by the way. Just kidding.
It doesn't take much, but I really do think the Texans match up well. I think the teams that Villanova has been matched up against in Harvard and Lehigh are good teams. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know that I think North Dakota would beat both of those teams pretty easily as well. And so you just do the math there and you see, I will tell you this, Villanova has a really good quarterback. If there's something that you want to be, scared of a little bit, it's their quarterback. Their quarterback is really good. He's a left-handed quarterback, Pat McQuaid. He's a graduate student that's been at 2 or 3 schools. I think Nicholls State, he was there. But he's not a guy that's going to run very much, but he will scramble to throw, and that's when he's really dangerous. As far as in the trenches, I think the Texans have the edge on both sides in the trenches. I think from a skill position side, I think the Texans have the edge on the skill positions, both offensively and defensively. I think the one thing you could keep an eye on is the return game for Villanova. They've been very good in the return game, especially on kickoffs this season. So I'll be interested
they have an
to
All-American. They have an All-American kick returner.
Yeah, one of their wide receivers really good at returning kicks. Matter of fact, Lehigh squib kicked all last week to him.
Yeah,
and the Texans gave up a big kick return to start the game against North Dakota. Every week it has.
There goes your lights.
Casey, when I talk to you.
Motions.
But yeah, I really think the Texans probably should be pretty heavily favored here in this game. Again, you never know what's going to happen.
They are. Yep.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals where if you just watch football and you kind of know, I think the main thing that you'll see, the difference between the two teams is speed. I think Tarleton State is going to be visibly faster all across the board than Villanova is. I think they're just so much better from a skill position. That's even without, Cody Jackson, if he doesn't play. I know he's a questionable going in this game, I believe, whether or not he'll play. But even without him, you've got Malik Willis, who had a huge touchdown long catch last week, comes in, and I wouldn't say that they don't miss a beat, but as far as talent goes, Malik Willis, again, his brother is the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, Malik Willis, and Marquise Willis is him, Malik Willis. But as far as talent overall and just like a ceiling, I think Willis might actually have a higher ceiling than Cody Jackson does. It's just that, he took a year off of football. So it's, in my personal opinion, I think the Texans should win this game pretty easily, but you never know. Again, that's why I'm in the radio booth and not out there coaching.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll say this about Villanova. They have a little edge in experience. They've been in this round 3 out of the last 5 years. Sure. A lot of these coaches on the coaching staff won the national championship in 2009. So I think you've got to give them their head coach. I don't think he was the head coach. Mark Ferrante, I don't think he was the head coach in 2009. He was a coordinator, but so they have experience. And I'll say this, they were double-digit underdogs last week against Lehigh. Vegas had them as 10-plus point underdogs, and they won. And by the way, this is how off Vegas has been. Vegas had Mercer as the favorite last week against South Dakota.
Sure.
And what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, well, what happened there was what a lot of people were telling me was going to happen. Now, there's what Vegas says, and I don't know how much Vegas watches this stuff. The people that I trust are the guys like you had on last week, like Sam Herder, right?
Yes.
These guys have watched these games, and they know. And so I think there can be a little bit of kind of an East Coast bias, but from North Dakota and South Dakota in those areas. But if you watch the game, I mean, there is a visible difference. And some people might say, well, they played on grass. It's a bad field. Yeah, but grass doesn't slow you down that much. And again, I could be wrong. I'm never going to say that I'm always right. That's just my feeling. And I've been doing this for 10 years, and I watch every single week 2 or 3 games from the other team. And I'm very seldom this wrong. If I'm wrong and they were to beat us, this would be maybe one of the most surprising things I've seen in my time.
Well, your wife, Mary, would say you're wrong a lot. So I'm just kidding.
She would, and she'd be right in that case.
and it's funny. Last week, some of the North Dakota fans were using something I said as bulletin board material. I said on this podcast with Sam Herder, I said, there's no doubt that Tarleton has better skill position players in North Dakota. And the fans, we're flagging that as, put this on our bulletin board. It's like, hey, if you've got to get bulletin board material from Casey and Byron, who couldn't run 20 yards down the field if we tried, then you've got bigger issues. I mean,
I got 20 in me. I got 20 in me.
Okay, you got 30, 20. But we're just shooting the bull, so take this as for what it's worth. I mean, this is entertainment. We've got to say our predictions. And by the way, Sam Herder and I last week were both on the same page that Tarleton should win by 3 or 4, and we were way off. Right? So you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know. That's why they play the game, and that's why we love football, and it's so much fun to watch. My job is to give my honest opinion when I get to these things. My honest opinion, just like, when I worked at ESPN or Sirius XM or the ticket, is not always right. That's just my opinion, and that's what I've seen. I will tell you, I mean, we'll look ahead. I think Texans will be underdogs if they were to make it to the national championship game and play either one of the Montana schools. You know what I mean? So I can go both ways. Those are I am not going to be just a total homer. Now, I'll do that on the radio when we call the game. But when I talk to you, I'm going to be honest about what I think is going to happen.
No, I appreciate it.
And what I think is going to happen is I think the Texans are better.
I appreciate that, and I think they are too. But the only thing that matters is what happens on the field, and we'll see if the Todd Whitten and the staff have these young men fired up and focused. And my bet is that they will. And I'm with you. I'll go. I think Villanova does have a really good defense. They got a linebacker in Shane Hartzell, who's number 31, who you've seen on flies around. I'll say Tarleton wins 27-14. So that's for what it's worth. I know I'm probably be way off, but regardless, it's going to be a heck of a football game. And I'm going to go with another upset. You're saying Montana State in the semis on that side of the bracket. I'm going to go with SFA and Colby Carthel upsetting Montana State on Friday night. They've won 11 in a row. So I know it's a big underdog, but
yeah, I've watched them. I mean, again, anything can happen. I've watched multiple games of the Montana schools, and I just think those schools, what they do schematically and then the pieces that they have, I think SFA is really good. Their quarterback has played really well. And speaking about people that can return, their punt returner, I think, has 4 this season.
Yes.
So, really good. That would be, I mean, personally, I would rather have ACU won last week, not because I like ACU, but because I want better things for the UAC. I'm a big fan of the UAC.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not a big fan of SFA. If I can go either way. I think they probably shouldn't be favored, but that's a good prediction. I think they've played really well.
Well, they're not favored. They're a big underdog, but it's probably a bad pick for me, man, because Colby Carthel, I watched the press conference he did yesterday, and he even was talking about, he didn't kind of say it this way, but their travel logistics to get up there, man, to try to get from Nacogdoches to Bozeman for a Friday night game, that is a huge disadvantage, man.
And it's a bigger disadvantage because they don't play during the day. That cold for a guy that played baseball in the cold, and then way back in the day in junior college would play here, and then you go up to New York for the national championship, which that's where it was for Division III junior college baseball, which I played. But you go up down here, it's over 100 in May, and you go up there, it's 35, and that makes a big difference for young men. And for anybody, when you go up and you play in that kind of cold, it makes a difference. It feels different when you get hit. That's one of the things I liked about if the Texans were going to go to North Dakota State, is at least it's an indoor game, and you won't have to deal with the cold. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that scares me about Nashville, because you never know what it will be. But here, knock on wood, we've got hopefully 2 more weeks, and at least this week it's supposed to be in the mid-60s again.
Yeah, beautiful weather, and I think the kickoff at Bozeman, SFA might dodge a bullet because I think it's going to be 42 and clear, but still cold up there. No, but you never know. Up there, weather can change on a dime. Byron, I'll give you last question. I'll give you the floor, your final pits to Tarleton fans, alumnus, Stephenville residents, college football fans to get out to Memorial Stadium Saturday.
You want an official score? I don't mind giving one. I can give an official.
No, I'm sorry. I was giving you the floor, like your final pits to tell people why they need to be there Saturday. My bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I would say that my pitch is, the problem that I have with, and I said something like this on Facebook, and I got like over 100,000 views on it, and it's maybe somewhat controversial. Here's the deal. You and I went to Tarleton State, and my mom was the Horned Frog at TCU. I grew up going to TCU games. Matter of fact, all 3 of my mom and my 2 aunts went to TCU, and I had one aunt that was younger, and I would actually when my parents would go out to Fort Worth, I would be babysitted in the dorms when I was little. So I have a lot of history with TCU, right? But here's the thing. Tarleton State is the school that gave me a scholarship. Tarleton State is the school that got me a degree. Tarleton State is the school that has made so many things possible. And I realize I work here now, so it's different, but there are many years where I didn't work here. I'm so thankful for this university and everything that surrounds it and goes into it. To me, if you got your degree here, I mean, you did not go to the Austin school, the College Station school, the bigger schools. I personally don't understand you being a big fan of that school, even if you grew up watching it with your dad or something, right? And you can be both. But right now, Tarleton State is in a place it's never been before, about to be on ESPN, on the mothership, on a national stage like never before. And what we want to do is put our best foot forward for the nation. And you're a part of that as a former athlete, as an alumni, or as just somebody here in the Stephenville community or in Fort Worth, if you're went to Tarleton. And so my deal is just like, hey, look, for 2 more weekends, get your butt to Stephenville, get out here and go to the game. We're giving you every reason to do it. $1 hot dogs, $1 beers, right? It's $12, like you said, to get a seat. You can bring the whole family and eat for less than $100. You don't get deals like that. There's no excuses. I don't care what it is. If your kid's got a football game this weekend or something like that, skip it. It's one game. You can come. You know what I'm saying? Get here, be part of this, because this is special and it's different.
No doubt about it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, there's nothing that bothers me more. This is another conversation than someone that went to Tarleton and graduated from Tarleton. You see him on social media with UT stuff on, or A&M going all over the country. It's like, this is your alma mater. This is Tarleton State. We need a huge crowd.
This is the school that accepted you. A lot of those people I know for 100% were not accepted to those other schools, and then they still support them in other ways.
Frustrates me.
And
a lot of these folks were very involved a lot of them were very involved at Tarleton too as undergrads. So there's no excuse. We're on ESPN. We're an NCAA Division I institution. We've got a chance to win this week and go to the national semifinals. Those games will be on ABC or ESPN next week, and you're 2 games away from possibly playing on the national championship on ABC on a Monday night. So this is absolutely huge. Byron, appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy. Good luck.
Hey, you bet, man. Thank you. Always enjoy it.
That is Byron Anderson, the voice of the Tarleton Texans. I want to thank Byron. I want to thank Ryan Fannon, who joined us in part 1 of this episode, the voice of the Villanova Wildcats. And thanks to each and every one of you for watching. Bleed Purple Nation. Remember, folks, join the Texan Club. Join the Light the Stack NIL Fund. Join the Tarleton Alumni Association. We need your support. Get involved. Be there at 11 a.m. at Memorial Stadium on Saturday, the first ever game for Tarleton in any sport on ESPN. And not only on ESPN, they're going to be highlighting Stephenville and Memorial Stadium. So we'll see you at the game. We'll see you Saturday. And remember, folks, if you ain't Texan, you ain't